So dear students, today we are again with a new video based on critical appreciation of How Do I Love Thee. This is a sonnet, this is a love poem and it was composed by a Victorian poetess Elizabeth Barrett Browning. She was also the wife of Robert Browning who was also a Victorian poet, and this poem is supposed to write for Robert Browning, for his lover. Means at that time there was a love affair between Elizabeth Barrett Browning and Robert Browning. So it is said that this sonnet was composed at that time only for Robert Browning. So all these are the important headings to be written in the exam for your answer. Maybe the question critical appreciation or critical evaluation of How Do I Love Thee, or if the question comes Elizabeth Barrett Browning as a poetess of love, the headings will be same. The very first heading you may have as a Victorian poetess, because Elizabeth Barrett Browning, she was a Victorian poetess. So in this you will find her boldness, you will find that how easily she is expressing her thoughts of love. So Elizabeth, she was an English poet of Victorian era, and her poems even impressed Robert Browning. The next heading, most famous poem. How Do I Love Thee? It's supposed to be the most famous poem composed ever by Elizabeth Barrett Browning, and it is also a sonnet. Sonnet, it has been taken from the collection of love poems in sonnets from the Portuguese. Sonnets from the Portuguese was a set of love poems, means all the sonnets, 44 in total. Okay, 44 sonnets were written or were collected in that collection, and the number of this sonnet, How Do I Love Thee, is 43. Then structure, the third one is structure and form of the poem. This poem, How Do I Love Thee, as this poem is a sonnet, so Elizabeth, she gave the form to this sonnet of conventional Italian sonnet or conventional Petrarchan sonnet. How Do I Love Thee? This poem is an Italian sonnet or it is a Petrarchan sonnet because it has 14 lines, and there is a rhyme scheme ABBA, ABBA, CD, CD and CD. Then fourth one is love poem. This poem is a love poem, as sonnets from the Portuguese was a collection of love poems. So no doubt that this poem is also a love poem. Because in this poem, in this love poem, Elizabeth Browning, she has expressed her love very beautifully. She mentions the different ways of love, one by one, and she emphasizes that she will love her lover, maybe Robert Browning, even after death. Okay, even after death. So Elizabeth Browning, she seems to be very confident. She assures, trying her best in this poem, she is trying her best to assure her lover that she doesn't love his physical body, but she loves his soul. And her love will always be eternal, even after the death. She is so confident, as her love is spiritual, her love is eternal, and if God permitted her, she will keep loving him even in another world also. So this poem shows that how much she loves her lover. So no doubt this is a love poem. Then the fifth one is theme of the poem. So what is the theme of this poem? Here you can find all the details in brief. Okay, for your convenience I have mentioned here. So the fifth point is theme of the poem. The main theme of this poem is love and faith, as it is a love poem. Love and faith, intensity of love. She expresses her deep and spiritual feelings, means her spiritual love or her platonic love. So the main theme of this poem is love and faith. Tone, sixth one is tone and mood. Okay, tone or mood, tone of this poem. So as it is a love poem, what kind of tone, what kind of mood maybe of the poetess, the tone of this poem is, or the mood, it depends on the mood. The tone of any poem depends on the mood of the poet or the writer, means the feeling that it is being conveyed, the feelings or the message that is being given by the poet. So the tone is here intimate, because the mood of the poetess is very loving, it is very sincere, very romantic, and tone is also very confident. So now we can say that through the tone we come to know that Elizabeth Barrett Browning, she is very faithful to her lover. So the tone is intimate, loving, sincere, romantic and confident. In this way you can write in detail. Then seventh one is her unending passion, right? If we come back to the tone or mood, if you want to write in detail, then you can write here that Elizabeth, she proclaims her unending passion, unending passion for her lovers, and she tells him how deeply her love goes, and she loves him with all of her beings. She hopes God will grant her the ability to love him even after her death also, when she will be passed away. So in this way you can write the details. Then seventh one is her unending passion. Unending passion means there is no limit of love. When we come to this point, there is so much to be written, because in the whole poem we find that how much passionate Elizabeth had been for her lover, and she assures him that her love is not temporary, her love is not momentary, means there is no end of her passion, but there is no limit, it is permanent, and it is completely stable, and it remains even after the death also. She doesn't need, because her passions are so strong for her lover, that she doesn't need his physical presence to love him, whether he is present with her or not, means he is with her or not, she will love him equally, she will love him passionately, and his absence, the absence of her lover, his absence or his presence will make never any kind of difference to her, means love doesn't know any end, love doesn't know any limit, and what is not touched by hands or by the organs of physical body, that can always be touched only with our soul, by our soul. So there is no end of the passions of love. Then next one is eighth one, endless. Okay, so that is endless, infinite love. When you go through word by word this poem, then you come to know that how much confident Elizabeth Barrett is, because it is a very sensitive poem, it is full of deep feelings, and love is infinite. Okay, love is infinite, love is limitless, means there is no limit of love. Love is endless, as there is no end of true love. So love is endless according to Elizabeth Barrett Browning. Love is infinite, love is limitless, right? And it can be felt. Love is so powerful that it can even be felt in the cold grave, means it can be continued even after the death. So she is so sure. Next one is free and pure, that is passions of love, passions of soul. She prefers to love him freely and purely. So these words were very important in this poem. When she mentions freely and purely, her love is completely free and it is pure. Free from what? Free from any kind of worldly concept or worldly belief or worldly problems or difficulties, and her love is so pure because it is spiritual. So Elizabeth Barrett Browning, she says that love is not a worldly concept, love is not a worldly belief. She doesn't think of how, why, or even the future of love, because she loves him freely without thinking anything, without thinking the future of it, without even thinking what people will think, what people will say. She is completely free in making love her lover. So she doesn't even care of the result, the consequence, the reaction of worldly people. So she is free in her love, and without thinking the consequences, she loves him purely with her heart, with her soul, and without any selfishness, with only freedom. There is no selfishness in the heart of Browning for her lover. So the next is depth, breadth, and height. Right? The next heading we can have here, the depth, breadth, and height. Her, what she wants to say through these words, that her love is very profound. It is spread all around to the height, depth, or breadth, and her soul can get there, not her physical body. Means what cannot be touched by hands or by any other organ of our physical body, that can always be touched only with the help of our soul. Our soul is so high that only it can touch the depth, it can touch the breadth, it can go to the height of that love, to that highness. So her soul is full of love for him, and nothing, nobody will ever make any difference or make effect her soul. Means there is no corner of her heart where there is no love for him. So in this way, Elizabeth Browning is trying her best to make her lover convinced that how much she loves him. Each part, okay, not a physical body, each part of her soul loves him purely, freely, and he is each and everything for her. He is her universe, and for her soul, it is only he who is all in all. Means for her soul, her world is only her lover. So he is everything to her soul, and only he, nothing and no one else. So this is why that we find all these three words very important in this poem. Now our next heading is love is beyond death, because her world revolves only around him. Love is immortal, love is eternal, love is infinite, love is most powerful, and even death cannot affect it, death cannot touch it, or even death cannot destroy it. The feelings of love in her heart for her lover, means death can separate her from him, her physical body, physically, but her physical body can be taken by death, can be destroyed by death, but death can never be able to take love from her heart for her lover. So love is beyond death. Now this poem is full of deep feelings, as we find that whatever she is saying, that is coming directly from her heart, and this is why that it is going to touch, or it is touching the heart of its readers. Now 13th one, you may have the heading imagery and symbolism. There are very beautiful imagery in the whole poem, and there are also a lot of symbols. Figurative language, so many figures of speech have been used by Elizabeth Barrett Browning: simile, personification, hyperbole, and even metaphor also. 15th one is autobiographical note. Some critics regard that this sonnet or this love poem was supposed to write or supposed to compose only for her lover before marriage. Robert Browning. So this is why that there is a personal note, or it is very subjective. And Elizabeth Barrett Browning is conveying the message for her lover Robert Browning. Then next one is, no doubt it is an ideal love poem. Some critics regard that it is a religious poem, it is a platonic poem, it is pure, it is very sublime, and it is a spiritual poem, because she is here emphasizing on not the physical body but the spiritual, but the soul. And soul is very important for her. She regards that if you love with your soul, that love becomes pure, that love becomes spiritual. So no doubt that this is an ideal love poem. All these were important headings of this sonnet. How do I love thee? Her inner feelings can be felt here when she says that her love is not temporary, her love is not momentary, and she doesn't need his physical presence to love him. It doesn't matter for her whether her lover is present or her lover is absent, means whether he is with her or not, but she will love him passionately. She will keep loving him with her soul, and his presence or absence will make no difference to her.